this lesson, we are going to take our watercolors along with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and grab you some cotton swabs, preferably those that you have not cleaned your ears with. These have been sitting around in my studio open, so they look a little gross, but I promise you, I haven't done my ears with them. That would be disgusting. And then grab you, obviously we want the watercolor paper and your watercolors and your watercolor brush. So in the last lesson, we did a wax resist with our warm colors. Spraying down my palette again. In this one, we're going to do an alcohol resist with some cool colors, which are like my purple, my blues, and my greens. So let's go ahead and start with the purple. I want this to be really, really dark. That's why I'm choosing these cool colors, because they tend to be darker. Now remember that watercolors will dry lighter. Let me squirt that purple down a bit. They'll dry lighter than what you put them on the paper initially. All right, I'm going to add some blue. And this is really, really, really wet. And I'm doing that on purpose. Let's add in some turquoise. Once again, I am just going with it. I am not using any certain brush strokes. I'm just blobbing it on the paper. This is called process art or open-ended art, and it usually turns out to be abstract in a lot of ways, which I love abstract art. It's very relaxing, so once you start playing around with these different mediums with your watercolors, you may not want to stop. You can put on music, put in your AirPods or earbuds, and play around with this and just drift into that relaxing state that art brings us. So I'm trying now to just fill in all the white. I've got my greens, my blues, several different colors of each, and a purple, and it's all pretty wet. You can't go wrong with this. Gosh, I love this so much. Oh my goodness. Remember, all of these pieces that we're creating in this series, save them. You're going to want to have some of these to frame by themselves or to add to some other projects we've got coming up in other videos. So my purple is dried a little bit, so I'm just adding more to that. Now I'm going to set this palette out of the way. And I'm going to grab my alcohol, and I'm just going to pour a little bit in the lid, the cap of my bottle, and then I'm going to take one cotton swab and I'm going to start dabbing it. And you can see already how the watercolors resist this isopropyl alcohol. So I'm going to do this all over and create a speckled or polka dot effect. It starts to look like a galaxy of some sort, something sci-fi. You have to work really fast because it doesn't work as well when your watercolors are dry. And you can do little groupings. So this one right here, I'm going to just add a little bit more green. And I'm using very little alcohol. I just put some in this lid and I just keep dipping in it. You may want to do this with a smaller sheet, like cutting your, I'm using a 9x12, but you could cut it in half. Because this is so big, it's dried a lot quicker than it needed to. I probably should have started on this much sooner and not added so much, but I wanted it to cover the entire page. So I'm going back over where I see that my watercolors are still wet so that I can get some really cool puddles, blobs, whatever you want to call them. And I love how all of these colors mix together. I'm a little bit sad right here, so I am actually going to grab some more of this green, wet it down, and then come back in here. And now I won't be sad because I like this puddle effect, and it was drying up on me. So I've got some areas that won't really take to this now because they're dry. And then I see some areas I didn't even cover up with the color. They're still white. But this is such a fun technique. So you can actually turn it around and start putting your cotton swab or Q-tip in other areas and making it more even. Just rotate it as you work, or just keep it the way you had it. And so this is an alcohol resist with watercolors. And if you like these lessons, make sure that you subscribe and give us a thumbs up, because we're going to create more of these open-ended art lessons, just showing you how each of the art mediums, watercolors, acrylics, oil pastels, and so many different other mediums, how they interact with other art supplies and other mediums. And we're going to give you lots of tools for creating your own art.